Scientists confirm the mega drought that has been occurring in the American West for the past 20 years has gotten to its worst point so far. We are seeing the driest conditions, the worst drought conditions of the past 1,200 years. 1,200 years. I mean, that's some biblical stuff right there. The last time I heard the term 1,200 years, it was in reference to the length of time that mankind would be cursed according to the sins of our forefathers. That is some dry stuff. That's some dry humor on that one. This all sort of just goes along with my hypothesis that California is one of the worst places to live on Earth. And you might be thinking, well, I mean, they've got great Hollywood Hills, they've got great weather and, whatever. Yeah, they've got great weather. It never rains. So I guess that's nice, but as we've established, that's also kind of problematic in some ways. Where do they get their food? They can't grow anything. California has a lot of issues. Los Angeles County specifically has a lot of issues. It's a really weird place. Conceptually, just go on this conceptual journey with me here for a minute. What is it like to live in a place where you not only have one of the largest homeless populations in the country, but you simultaneously have one of the highest concentrations of millionaires per capita in the entire world, in the midst of a barren desert wasteland that constantly catches on fire, and you're constantly having protests, and when there's no protests or fires burning, there's earthquakes and heat waves. I mean, no wonder people are moving from California to Texas. Even though Texas is the second worst state, second only to California, of course, it's a massive step up in the right direction coming from California. It's so hot, and the cost of living is through the roof, and California is it's so fake. I mean, everybody there has had plastic surgery, and there's nothing wrong with plastic surgery. You can go get plastic surgery if you want to, but it's just this air of surrealism all around you. I was watching a TV show, or I was witnessing a TV show play on television. I wasn't really watching it. Called Selling Sunset. And if you don't know what this show is, it is a show where real estate agents, or, well, I guess it's more like wannabe Instagram models who decided to get into real estate. That's really what it is. And just the way they talk is absurd. And I know reality television isn't exactly the same as real life in California, but I have on good word that it's very, very close to reality. And they go into a house and they'll be showing it to someone, and it's like, oh, it's so sexy. Oh, I love the counters. They're so sexy. Oh yeah, this house is really sexy. Like I get nauseous every time that I think about that show. And everyone there, they don't even know how to speak normally. They're incoherent. They use words like sexy all day long. It's just a sign of the times, It's like, it's just the fall of the American empire. It really is. I can't think of a better example to show the fact that we are falling down. We're falling to the floor. And California is going to be the first to go. We have to make them the first to go. I mean, if they don't naturally go first, I'll make sure it happens myself. I hate that place. And I hate those people. Another state that's really bad to live in is Florida. Now, yeah, they've got some cool, vacation spots and all that. But like, I've been to Florida a few times. I've driven through Florida. I've been to different towns and cities. It is the most unusual and confusing place I have ever been. One thing that actually just happened in Florida is something that was very racy, to say the least. It was a form of anti-Semitism in Sarasota, Florida, in a few different neighborhoods. Residents found some items strewn about the neighborhood at the end of their driveways and such. Bags of rice containing anti-Semitic messages on pieces of paper were found all over the neighborhood. I think there was at least 100 of these things, about 100 of them across, one or two neighborhoods. And what it says, what is inscribed on the pieces of paper says, basically that the COVID-19 pandemic was the fault of the Jewish community. Let's just pause there. Apparently, someone thinks that the Jews were the cause of the COVID-19 pandemic. I want to go ahead and get out in front of this and say that I think that's false. But it does bring up a good question. How would they have been at fault for the pandemic? Hypothetically, how would one explain this? Okay, so it says on the flyer was titled every quote, and I'm quoting here. I'm not saying this. This is a quote. Quote, every single aspect of COVID agenda is Jewish. Other flyers that were distributed in the Sarasota neighborhood said things like, let's go Brandon. If you haven't heard of it, that's just another way of saying F Joe Biden. And, another flyer read, this one's my favorite, quote, anti-Semitism is a human right, end quote. I'm not really even sure what to say at this point. It's a really funny argument. It's a really funny thing. Isn't that funny? Isn't it just funny? The idea that anti-Semitism is a human right? Wow, that's interesting. I mean, I guess I get it. Like, you have the right to don't like people. But when you say it's a human right, that just brings it to a different level. You know, I'm going to have to go ahead and say that I don't think I agree with that one. I know we haven't really had a full debate here. You know, I haven't given the other side of this conversation a chance to defend themselves or to, voice their opinions and articulate themselves properly. But, against the laws of proper debate, I may have to go ahead and conclude that I don't agree with them. So, I know there's lots of great debaters out there who are saddened to hear me conclude my own opinions before I've given the other side a chance to argue things. But I'm going to have to go ahead and just, I don't think they're right. I can't say for sure, but it doesn't immediately sound like the truth. It could be, I don't know. Who's really to say? I don't know what the truth is. We're going to have to get some fact checkers on here. Any fact checkers out there, please go ahead and look this up. Is anti-Semitism a human right? I need you to find the answer for me. Find the pros and cons of both opinions and let's talk it out. Okay, let's work this out here. I'm not trying to just shut down the other side. Like I already said, who's really to say what the truth is? It could go either way. I'm kind of like 60-40 split. I'm not quite sure whether or not that's something that I should agree with. Definitely not a very intuitive concept, but anyway. So there we go. Florida, Texas, and California are some of the worst states to live in. Well, I don't really know if there's anything else I have to say today. I hope that if you are listening to this, you will go check out my YouTube channel. It is called The Thought That Counts. And if you're watching this, go check out my podcast. It's called The Thought That Counts Podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. And it's always a pleasure to host The Thought That Counts Podcast for my listeners out there. Thank you very much for tuning in. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Cheers.